Jimmy almost 2 years ago on a missions trip in Africa. I was working in a village in northern Ghana, and this little boy wandered into our work site. He was kind of in tough shape, and we learned that he had been basically abandoned at a very young age and living on his own in the streets. And he looked every bit of it. There were 11 of us from the area here that traveled together, and God really tugged at our heartstrings when this little boy entered our lives at that point. We did the best we could for him in Ghana. The pastor from Ghana that was traveling with us decided to attempt to foster the boy on his own. We received permission from the village elders and the chief to bring him back to the capital city where the pastor was from. Jimmy traveled back to the capital city with us, and the pastor attempted to foster Jimmy. The pastor's wife had been in a horrific car accident and had some physical challenges that were very demanding of her time and pastor's time. At that time they decided that it would be in Jimmy's best interest to take him to a boarding school where he would receive education and care. Jimmy had never received any education in his younger years, living on his own for the most part, we understand, or we believe. And so the boarding school didn't work out. The pastor's assistant, Georgina, a single lady from Ghana, took care of Jimmy for a time, but that it was too hard on her also. So Jimmy ended up in an orphanage. And about the same time, Pastor David and his wife traveled to South Korea to seek medical attention for his wife, and Jimmy was transferred to another orphanage without his knowledge. This past spring, our friend Don Shire, whom you've enjoyed listening to tonight, traveled back to Ghana for a conference. And we had asked Don, while he was there, if he would just track Jimmy down and see how he was doing. And he did. And things were not going very well for Jimmy. The orphanage he was at basically told Don that they needed to find another place for Jimmy.
We came to the church and asked everyone to pray. And for 2 months, without break, people prayed every day for the situation. And it was during that 2 months that the Lord started to pry open my heart to adoption.
At that time, we decided to try supporting Jimmy financially at the orphanage where he was staying. And at the same time, God was basically starting to work on us, I think, from the aspect of obedience. We knew that He had a plan for Jimmy, and somehow or another we were fitting into it. We didn't really ever think of adopting a child. We've got 2 grown children of our own.
Matter of fact, our daughter wanted us to adopt for years, and I had always said, we're not called to that. But I felt, and Mike felt, that God was calling, and it was His Word that gave us the courage to step forward. It was that verse that really made us feel that there was no other decision. To walk away from this child who Mike has held, someone we know, we just this time couldn't turn our face and walk away. In the world of adoption, it is more difficult to find placement for older children than for little children. And it's no different in Ghana. Babies are sought after, but 11-year-olds aren't. 11-year-olds with histories like Jimmy's also present some hesitations for people who are considering adoption. And so speaking with a social worker over there, the social worker said that finding an adoptive family for Jimmy would be very difficult there.
We've started the adoption process. We're almost near completion on the U.S. side of things. There are still a few more details to work out in Ghana. And when they all come together, if that's what God has in store, then Jimmy will be coming to America.
So we are moving forward completely trusting that we serve a great and mighty and powerful God, and that He will work the plan that is best for Jimmy's life, with us or without us. And we decided that we'd like to join Him in His work.
A wise friend of mine told me to just keep walking towards where God is, and when He is not there, you'll know that things have changed, and that's the journey we're on.
Mm-hmm.
Hello,
Mama
Mama,
and Dada,
Dada,
I love you.
Abaju.
Hello,
Hello,
Mama
Mama,
and Dada.
Dada.
This is Jim.
I said Jimmy.
I love you.
I live.
Amen.
Amen.
I always tell my kids, you want adventure in life, follow God. He will take you on the greatest adventure of your life. And I believe that that's what we have done. We've jumped off the cliff, and we are confident that the Lord will not let us crash.